The first story that I wanted to cover today is a bit of a sad one, Chad. I have mixed feelings about this. It was announced by Warner Bros. Discovery that they are shutting down Rooster Teeth, chat. Although I guess some elements of Rooster Teeth will continue on, but they are shutting the company down after 21 years of existence, 21 years of creating online entertainment, being one of the pioneers of online entertainment in so many different ways. And to provide some context, I have this story up from Deadline. I'll read a little bit here so we can learn a few facts as to why this is happening, and also I could kind of provide my own thoughts and feelings on this, and why I'm sad about it, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. And this is via Deadline, of course. A pioneer in digital content creation is going away. Rooster Teeth, a subsidiary of Warner Bros. Discovery, global streaming and interactive entertainment, announced this morning that it is ceasing operations after 21 years. The process starts today and is expected to take several months. The news was announced at an all-hands company meeting and shared in an internal memo by Rooster Teeth General Manager Jordan Levin. It's with a heavy heart I announced that Rooster Teeth is shutting down due to challenges facing digital media resulting from fundamental shifts in consumer behavior and monetization across platforms, advertising, and patronage, Levin said in an email. And I guess you can read the full thing below. The Rooster Teeth podcast network will remain in operation while WBD evaluates outside interest in acquiring this growing asset, Levin said. There's Rooster Teeth branded content, the WBD pipeline, which will also stay put, including a movie that will be released soon by Warner Bros. Home Entertainment. I doubt that now. With the rate of which they're canceling and shelving projects and doing all these tax write-offs, I put an asterisk next to that film, but that's just me. WBD will be exploring options for Rooster Teeth's catalog content, and IP such as Red vs. Blue, Ruby, and Genlock. So these might be sold off to different companies, chat. Wow. Founded in 2003 by Burnie Burns, Matt Hullum, Geoff Ramsey, Jason Saldaña, Gus Sorola, and Joel Heyman. Rooster Teeth went through a series of owners, including Fullscreen, I remember that, and Otter Media, and became part of WBD following the acquisition of Time Warner from AT&T. Let me know that WBD continued its investment in our company content community following the merger. WBD also continued the Rooster Teeth Digital Careers Program intended to support underrepresented talent, which had been launched by Warner Media. In an effort to boost revenue by moving consumers to a sponsorship model, Rooster Teeth last fall relocated its content from YouTube to its own website. That was a mistake. A potential sale of the company also was explored, but many of the companies that had been interested in the brand are no longer in business, as the digital entertainment space has been undergoing an unprecedented upheaval. Monetization shifts, platform algorithms, advertising challenges, and the ebb and flow of patronage, all these converging factors have led to many closures in the industry, Levin noted in this memo. Extra other options, WBD went for a shutdown. And listen, we could continue reading all this. They have their memo out there, which you guys can probably check out and read for yourselves. I have a lot to say about this, to be perfectly honest with you guys. First of all, I do want to talk about just my experience with Rooster Teeth. I was one of those like big original fans of Rooster Teeth and Red vs. Blue back in the early to mid 2000s. Like a lot of people of my generation, I loved Halo and loved, obviously, Halo, the original Combat Evolved, which truly did popularize first-person shooters on consoles. A lot of people say, like, no, it was Call of Duty, it was this, it was that. It's like, no, Halo kind of changed that. And it was a culture phenomenon, and then you had these very talented people that loved Halo as well, and they wanted to create a narrative series, an online narrative series. Now, they were not the first to do something like that, but they were perhaps the most successful at it. And I remember watching Red versus Blue before even YouTube existed, and falling in love with it, and just realizing, like, wow, this is the kind of, like, you don't need to have your stuff on television. You don't need to have your stuff in a movie theater. You could just do it online. Again, this is back in the day, Chad. This is still, it's like, yes, the internet was the thing, but it was still growing. It was very different than it was back then. And obviously their success proliferated, and they started doing all sorts of content, throughout the 2000s. I mean, not just Red vs. Blue, but a variety of other shows to various degrees of success. But then you just had their gaming-centric content. Stuff like Achievement Hunter, which exploded in popularity, inspired so many people to become, game-centric content creators. I mean, even they huge inspiration for me and me wanting to do that type of content as well. And, finally doing that, for a living, they're a huge part of my childhood and my life and the kind of content that I wanted to create for a while, for a long time. And I listened to their various shows and their podcasts and things, and I just love it. Like, for a lot of people, like Rooster Teeth and Achievement Hunter and all those things, like that was their go-to program. Like, you had all your shows on television, but for some people, that was their TV shows. It was the next episode of Achievement Hunter. It was the next episode of Rage Quit. It was the Rooster Teeth podcast. Like, that's what people consumed, and they really loved the things that they had created, as did I. Now, that's not to say that Rooster Teeth hasn't had its controversies and issues, certainly recently. And really, it's controversies and issues that I don't think they've ever managed to truly get over. You had, apparently a lot of nastiness behind the scenes, and a lot of pay discrepancies. There were certain people that I've followed and have continued to follow who left the company. Ray Narvaez, and just reading about, and he was one of the most popular members of Achievement Hunter, and he didn't even stay as long as you realize, 2 years, 2.5 years. But then you realize, even though these videos are making so much money and getting so much views online, to read about how employees were just barely scraping by, barely able to afford rent and to pay their bills, despite creating this type of content that became so enormously popular. It's crazy. And then leaving, and then forming their own things and becoming even more successful, and even attempting to do these side ventures, but not being able to because of various contract things. And I was like, that was shitty, in my opinion. Really, really terrible, really shitty. And then, of course, you had everything with Achievement Hunter just kind of falling apart, the Ryan Haywood of it all, and the fact that he was, grooming fans and girls, and it had all that. And then, of course, you had all these, these buyouts for the company. And I think that really changed the face of it. Rooster Teeth, which originally started as, these guys in a two-bedroom apartment putting together these shows, and these streams and these videos. It then became, it was a company, it was a corporation, and it didn't have that same charm, I feel, like it originally did. And that's what happens when you grow and you become so big. You get more people involved. You need to pay these people. You need all these things in order to keep that growth and to keep that, make sure you can pay everybody and that you need to, even though they clearly weren't paying them enough. And I think that is what eventually turned, along with all the various controversies that was happening behind the scenes, the pay discrepancy and practices and mistreatment of employees. I think that turned a lot of people off. And then I didn't think they adapted. I don't think Rooster Teeth adapted very well to the influx of the people with just a microphone and a webcam, and just doing everything themselves. Maybe having an editor or two, but literally doing everything themselves. And people started gravitating more towards that content. And also just the advent of Twitch and how popular Twitch was. And I don't think they ever really were able to adjust to that. And they fell behind because they were owned by so many different masters, because there was such this constant turnover. Every few years. They just didn't really seem to have their footing, and they always kept tripping. Plus, they had these long shows that kind of kept going and going and going. And I mean, listen, as popular as Red versus Blue is, I stopped watching eventually. I think a lot of people stopped watching eventually, and people started gravitating towards all sorts of other independent content, and especially in the streaming era, the streaming age, Bruce Steve was before all that. And I think that had a huge effect, but they didn't modernize. And I feel like because so many of the original people had left, they kind of lost their identity in the process. And I think it turned off so many people. And I guess including myself to a degree, even though I had, fallen in love with their content and the material that they had produced. But I think the writing was on the wall for quite some time with Rooster Teeth, and It's sad that it ended, but at the end of the day, I'm not surprised that it ended. I feel really terrible for all the employees. I guess originally I read it was 150. Now it's expanded to nearly 400. I mean, the entire company basically, and that now they're all going to be unemployed. Especially during this time period where the economy is really bad right now. Inflation is ridiculous. Food prices are up. I mean, there's upheaval across multiple industries around the world, and especially here in the United States, especially in the entertainment industry right now, and how things are just changing. And Rooster Teeth is just one of the other victims of that, although I do think to a great degree, based on their decisions and the decisions of the heads of the company, they brought it on themselves. And I don't blame the employees that are just trying to produce the best content they possibly can. I blame the heads of the company and their terrible decision-making that sadly led to this. So yeah, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this. I'm sad, but again, at the same time, not surprised. But I am curious to hear from you guys. What do you think about the end of Rooster Teeth, a titan in the independent online content creation? I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. Let's see here. Generation G4 TV. Oh yeah. Even before Rooster Teeth, was the blockbuster video to modern day YouTube and Twitch being Netflix. Yeah. I also just feel bad for employees because Funhouse is gone. Death Battle is going to be. Also, these they're all gone too. Gentlemen, why hello, Giant Elephant. Good to see you. We're just talking about the end of Rooster Teeth. It was announced that the company is being shut down by Warner Bros. Discovery. But good to have you here. Let's see what everyone's saying. Translation, they're not making WB money and people aren't watching. Yeah, I mean, that's what I think. People moved on. People moved on to just, again, it's crazy, but it's true. Just a person that literally is just sitting in front of a camera, has a microphone, and providing the types of content they want. And that's the thing. You could tell Rooster Teeth started to move away from that kind of intimate feeling. You know what I'm saying? Of just all these guys just in a room, just talking to each other, or doing these gameplay stuff. Most of those, Burnie Burns has been gone for years. Joel Heyman left under really bad circumstances, as far as I know. You had other employees that, had numerous, issues, and the pay discrepancies were ridiculous. And, they were despite making the company so much money, they themselves are not making that much money. And I think that eventually just turned a lot of people off, and they either followed those people in the case of Ray Narvaez and others, and they just started creating content that people didn't really care about anymore, or they didn't even like. They started making movies and things, and they just that content was just not as good as a lot of other films and TV shows. It's very weird. They made a lot of weird decisions, and I think they never really paid for all of them. Let's see here. Yeah, they had 400 plus employees. Tricia, I generally thought Rooster Teeth was quietly shutting down a few years ago. I think a lot of people thought that just because of everything that they were doing and changing. Last time I even heard of RT was the movie they made with Corey in it. Yeah, Laser Team. That's right. Let's see. I also think it's important to archive the videos because I also think it's important to archive their videos because done, it might be gone. It might be what? I'm not sure. I don't understand what you're trying to say, Austin. I heard about it when I got home from work. I fell off their content a while back, but it's surreal to see them go. Yeah, it really is, just because they've just been a part of just the online space, online content creation for, 2 decades at this point. And so, yeah, I have no answers for people is their YouTube channel going to go away? Are any of their content going to go away? I have no idea. I don't know how any of this stuff is going to be archived, or it's just going to be deleted. I'm really not sure. I don't know if anyone knows at this point. I'm sure there will be some answers shortly, but for right now, I'm completely unsure. So yeah, so that's a whole other thing. Just what happens to the content that's just been out there for so many years? That's literally been out there for a decade. Over a decade. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's frustrating. It's really sad. It's really frustrating. But at the same time, I'm the writing was on the wall for a very long time. And I'm sure, you have a lot of the biggest names will go off and they'll do, their various things and become, independent and move away from different or move on to like just different types of content creation. But yeah, for everybody else, the company, the people that weren't on camera, it's like it's going to be very, very difficult for them. So you'll see. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I was like, wow, But again, it's just another another casualty in the last few months of just all these various projects and companies, entertainment companies, just coming to an end. And it's crazy. And what will become of Death Battle? Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. Like any of those like additional shows or anything else under the Rooster Teeth umbrella. I have no idea. I'm not sure what will happen. Well, as far as we know, like they mentioned like Red vs. Blue, they mentioned Genlock, some of these shows. Apparently, like Warner Brothers is considering, or at least based on the information I was reading, they're considering like selling those to different companies. So that's going to be kind of crazy. So it's all going to be split off into you'll have to watch Red vs. Blue on a different platform now. It's like I just I have no idea. I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot at once, and I don't think we'll know any specific details for the next couple of weeks, if not months. But don't be surprised, Chad. Don't be surprised if a lot of this content is just simply gone. If their YouTube channels and all those videos are simply just taken down, Because now it's like that's owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, and they can do with it what they want, and that's not going to be good. Halo the meme bad doesn't help. Well, the other thing is, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the Halo franchise, I think that to a degree, I think that's a part of it. Spectre, you bring up something interesting, like the Halo franchise has not really truly been, I hate to be mean, but relevant in a number of years, and I feel like that's because of the mismanagement of Microsoft with the series, and also 343 Industries and just their sloppy work, but mostly because of Microsoft's mismanagement. I mean, I said this before, like I played Halo Infinite, I enjoyed Halo Infinite, but the way that game was launched was ridiculous. There was no excuse. Like, okay, yeah, we got the multiplayer out for like 2 weeks, and then here's the single player, but there's like a ton of stuff missing from it, like stuff that has been literally packaged in Halo games of the past, like all the time. I mean, since fucking 2. Or the case of like 3 or something, like 4, like Forge was absent. I wasn't there for the longest time. How they handled matchmaking and multiplayer was just so. It was. This is your flagship series, and this is how you launch it. That is inexcusable. And then, of course, you have like awful adaptations of Halo, like Halo Season 1. At least what I watched, those first episodes, I thought, this is garbage. This is so terrible. I know a lot of people now are saying Season 2 is a lot better, but I'm sorry, I have no motivation to check out that second season just because of how terrible Season 1 was. And it's just like, it's so much investment because I got to watch Season 1. It's like, no. So I think that played a role in the fact that just Halo is done. And that was the thing that brought Rooster Teeth to prominence was Red versus Blue because Halo was literally the one of the biggest, if not the biggest first-person shooter at that time. Certainly back in the 2000s. A lot of people would argue if it was this or that. Halo popularized first-person shooters on consoles. They absolutely did, especially multiplayer first-person shooters. Long before even Call of Duty did, long before Battlefield or anything like that. It was Halo on consoles specifically. It changed it. Okay, we wouldn't have the kind of multiplayer infrastructure that we had in the 2010s or even now without Halo. There's no question about that. And they're just left. They've been left behind because of corporate mismanagement. A developer that probably has to serve various masters, but also is just not nearly as good as what Bungie was doing back in the day, and not modernizing for the times either. So yeah, and I think that also hurt just the popularity of Red versus Blue too, because not many people are watching. Not many people are playing Halo. Most people now are playing. In terms of multiplayer games, well, I mean, you still have the COD people, of course, but most people have gravitated to things like Fortnite, or PUBG. Or Apex Legends, or more recently stuff like Helldivers, and it's just I think just because of all these things, and because Rooster Teeth had gotten so big, they were serving so many masters, they had so many countries, they were not able to get over whatsoever. That this was an inevitable thing, and it's sad. It's sad because They were great for a very long time, and they inspired people like me for a very long time. I'll just, remember the best days. Remember the best days, but also to keep in mind, just like, if anything, I think it's a learning lesson for other content creators out there too, of what you should do and what you should not do. And we should probably look at Rooster Teeth as, okay, this is the successes that they've had, but these are the things that probably caused their failures, and not to repeat some of those things, especially in such a tumultuous time within the entertainment industry with so much turnover happening and so many companies going under and films going under and games going under and people being fired across the board, except for the rich corporate, fucks out there. So, yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. But yeah, chat, thank you for letting me talk about this. Just want to share my thoughts on Rooster Teeth, and also want to get your thoughts on this too. So thank you for letting me discuss it in detail. Oh yeah, all different assets will be sold off the distributor. There you go. So it's all going to be from different. You're going to have to watch Red vs. Blue on fucking Peacock now or something. Who even knows? Or here's the other thing, chat. It could literally be just like, this is Warner Brothers' MO, where they're just like, nope, we're not going to sell this to anybody. It's just not going to be, it's going to be impossible to find. It'll be like an Infinity Train situation where that show, the only way you can gain access to that show is by pirating it. That's the only way, is by literally having to download those from some fucking rip that someone uploaded to whatever pirate site or Pirate Bay. That's what's going to have to happen. I would not be surprised if some of these companies are like, no, we don't. Red vs. Blue, why? Red vs. Blue, it's like, hell, it hasn't been relevant for, 10 years. Like, why would we even do that? So that could happen. And so to the seas, lads, yar. Indeed. Oh, Lord. Yeah, what a glow down, 100%. Yep. And what really happened with Infinite was, they forced that launch that the game would be out in time for the 20th anniversary, and they put out a game that wasn't even finished. Yeah, true. It was just, they put it out piecemeal. Even though I enjoyed Halo 4, 5, and Infinite, the moment Bungie left after Reach, the franchise went downhill. Yeah, it did. I like 4. I actually like 4 quite a bit, but 5, I really dislike 5. I thought that campaign fucking was awful. I really despised that campaign. Infinite was a better campaign, but just the way in which that game launched. Like a fart in the wind, yeah. You can buy Infinity Train off of iTunes, I think. Okay, but still, how many people are going to buy individual episodes of Infinity Train, or are they going to download it off of Pirate Bay or any of these other platforms? Like in reality. Giant Element, thank you for giving this sub to DT Darks. And again, Chad, thank you so much for all your generosity. I really, really do appreciate it. It's super kind of you. Thank you, good sir. Why, hello indeed. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. Savvy, indeed. Oh, locking that content away next to the background covers. I would not be surprised. Now, they haven't said that. They haven't said something like that. I'm just telling you, don't be surprised if they do that. So again, we'll learn the next few weeks and months or year, throughout the rest of 2024. Chris Ayers is fucking, it is depressing. It is. Serenity, hello, Serenity. Good to see you. Just woke up from my forced nap. Nothing wrong with a good nap. Oh, that sort of thing is, the reality is, yep. Dodo or Dudo? Both. Someone watched those Justice League Rooster Teeth movies that came out last year. Have you seen? No, I didn't. Because I'm just, nah. I don't think anyone did. The fact that they were making shit like that, Listen, I watched the first couple seasons of Ruby. I'm like, this is fun. I think I watched the first 2 seasons. Okay. It was sad because it was created by Monty Ohm, who sadly passed away under super tragic circumstances. He died very young. I think it was a botched surgery or something. Or he had a reaction to the anesthetic and he suffocated. In any case, terrible. But yeah, even that, it's I don't fucking want to watch the Justice League meeting up with the Ruby. It was what? Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's the corporate side of it. That's the part where I feel like that turned people off. It turned me off. I was like, I don't want to fucking. And I like the Justice League, of course. I like the DC Universe, but I was like, I want to see that. It just, what it feels like? It feels like just a stupid. And I know some people like it, but it feels like those really dumb crossovers between DC versus Marvel. And I was just like, what are we doing? It's we're just what if Superman fought Spider-Man? It's I don't fucking care. It's because it's, what, it's probably not going to be a very good story. And it just felt like it just reeked of corporate desperation. It's just like, let's just combine this thing with that thing. Yeah. And I was like, no, I don't really want that. So, and I think that played a huge role in turning off a lot of fucking people, including myself. At that point, I was just done with Rooster Teeth, not because it was actually even when they were still producing like really good content, even though like when Ray had left. I think it was a couple of years after Ray had left, I finally left too. Just, not really watching their content. Plus, I forgot to bring this up, but I had met a couple of people who had worked for Rooster Teeth, and these were not on-camera people. And I met them in passing, and they were like editors for the company. And I even noticed, like, I had this one interaction of someone who was, not to name names, but I remember going to like a Super Smash Bros. Kind of like, yeah, just have fun. We just gonna have like play Super Smash Bros. For like a few hours or whatever. It was a good time. I met one of the editors there, and I remember him just being kind of like super cagey about talking about his experience working with Rooster Teeth. He seemed not to like just really like, yeah, it like almost like, yeah, I work at Rooster Teeth, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. That's just the vibe I got from them. Talking about them is what they didn't say. It was like, okay, you know what I mean? Where, yeah, I mean, you join these places or these organizations, share the groups, and you watch them for years, and you think like, oh, this is gonna be great, and then it turns out like, well, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes they just don't know about, and then when you experience it yourself, you get, oh shit, and you get a perspective, and eventually all that stuff comes out. And I think that's just kind of the case with Rooster Teeth. A lot of this stuff just started coming out, and a lot of people started airing their dirty laundry and their practices and the treatment of their employees and the enormous pay discrepancies with and how a great number of people were being underpaid despite the content that they were producing, which was great, making the company a lot of money. So it's just really fucked up. And so at the end of the day, again, I just don't think I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by this at all.